This week, I'm painting tiny spaceships. Hi guys, Jonathan from True Raven Studios. Welcome, and 1,000 subscribers. We did it this week. Thank you for helping me reach my goal before the end of the year. I have a lot of cool stuff coming next year that you don't want to miss out on, so make sure you're subscribed. Starting next year, I'm going to have 2 videos a week. One's going to be a review video, and one is going to be a painting video. Since it's a holiday week and I don't have a lot of time, this week we're just going to paint some Y-Wing models for Star Wars Armada. These ships are really tiny. I'm not going for a super high detailed paint job on these. I want them to more match the big capital ships that come pre-painted. So we're going to do something in a similar style. So let's hop right into painting those. So I'm starting off with a little bit of white primer mixed with some raw sienna ink to give me an off-white color. You could do this by hand, or you could just do it with a spray can. You just want to give it a little bit of an off-white base coat to start. I'm using the airbrush here because I like to prime with the airbrush. Next up, I'm dusting from the top with a little white ink. This is completely optional. I just wanted to give the upper side of it a little bit of a brighter color than the underside. But again, this is optional. You can just spray it the base color to start. Now with some yellow paint, I'm going to go in and paint all the markings I want on this ship. So you can kind of get creative here, look at some reference material and see which parts you want yellow. And if you don't want to use yellow, you could use a different color for the squadron markings. I'm just going to go over just a couple different areas with this paint and give it some nice yellow markings. The reason I used the mix of the 2 colors, as you can see up in the corner, I mixed the Cygnus yellow and the mediocre, was I didn't have a yellow I like, so I just mixed one. You can use any yellow you're comfortable with. Next I have Asheth Gray, which is just a dark gray, and I'm painting the canopy with this. So just a little cockpit area. I'm also going to paint the little blaster barrels on the front of the ship with this color. This step is optional, but I'm just going over the little R2 units on the back with some different colors, so painting some of them red, painting other ones with a blue color. I'm going to leave some of them white. Again, you can just play around with the color here for the R2 units, or just skip this step completely. Now moving into oil paint. So what I have is raw umber with a little bit of black mixed in, thinned down with mineral spirits, and I'm just kind of dotting along to fill all the recesses. So this is going to give us a very similar look to the capital ships, the way they're painted, by filling all those recesses in with this dark color. We're just panel lining here. If you have the right consistency of paint, the paint should do the work for you. Kind of see as I dab the paint, it just runs in all the recesses. Once this is done, set it aside for a couple minutes to let it start to dry. And after it's dried for a little bit, I'm going to go in with a makeup sponge and just wipe the surface slightly to make sure the paint is only in the recesses. It's really going to help that panel lining stand out nice and starkly. After this step, you'll have a completely acceptable finished miniature that will match the capital ships. So stopping here is perfectly acceptable. They look just like the capital ships now, but I'm going to add a little bit of highlights because I just can't stop myself. So let's hop back into it. Again, this step's optional, but we're just going to add some few highlights. So the first little highlight I'm going to do is on the canopies. I'm just using a lighter gray. I'm using Bastion Gray from P3 just to highlight the things that were painted gray earlier. So just dabbing along the top of the guns and the canopy. And next up with some Cygnus yellow, I'm just going to highlight the areas that we painted yellow. So highlight all those markings just a little bit, make them stand out a little bit better. Nothing fancy here, just dabbing along the edges. And finally, with some white, I'm just going to highlight the areas that are that off-white color. I'm just using a pure white, just nice and easy, dabbing some edges again. All these steps are optional, but it'll just help this tiny ship stand out a little bit more on the battlefield. And after this, we are done. So you can see I painted the two different squadrons with slightly different markings. Make them stand out from each other a little bit. Camera's kind of going in and out of focus a little bit, but you can get an idea of what the two different squadrons look like. So if you play around with it, you could use yellow, you could use any color you want, but you'll have some pretty cool little squadrons to match your capital ships. I hope you guys found that useful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. And let me know if you want to see more Armada stuff. I know the ships are painted, but I want to punch them up a little bit. And again, the little squadrons aren't painted, so we could paint those. And as I said, starting in the new year, we're going to have 2 videos a week. One will be a review video. The first one, starting next week, is going to be this terrain for Crisis Protocol. And then we'll continue to have the painting videos as well. So I hope you guys join me for those. Until next time, keep on gaming and paint your minis.